Guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to today's video, which is going to be like a throwback video. I am going to be doing the full face using makeup I used to love or old makeup favorites. I did find a few things from the archives like back in the day that I'm going to be using in this video, and I feel like I did a play on the makeup I used to do back then. Obviously, like the better version, the 2.0 version, new and improved version, as opposed to back then. I mean, my makeup didn't used to look like this. Excuse the lip gloss, that's the only thing that is kind of annoying. The lip gloss I'm using is one from back in the day that was super popular, and I know it's super sticky, but I decided to go with it how I did back then, but it's kind of annoying me. So yeah, if you guys want to see this video and you like it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and let's get on to the tutorial. Okay guys, let's get started with this look. Now, clearly, you know, my hair is a hot ass mess. I got out of the shower, I'm letting it air dry. I did throw on my eyebrows already. Don't mind them. I know they look a little rough and crazy, but that's okay. I'm going to fix them after I do my foundation, but I kind of just wanted to lay down the base. Okay. So for primer, I don't have like a previous primer previous to this one. This, I would say, is probably my first primer that I started using back in the day when I started makeup, and I still have continued to buy it throughout all these years. So I started getting into makeup when I was 15. I am 27 years now, so once you calculate that, you can definitely tell that I've been in this for a long time, and I've been using this baby for a long time. The Benefit Professional Primer. It's probably one of my holy grail primers. I love it so much. I still have continued to use this throughout all this time, and yeah, it's a pore filling primer. It works amazing on me, and this is what I'm using today because it's literally the oldest primer, not this one in particular, but like the oldest one that I've been using for the longest that I can remember. Now for foundation, I have two that I'm going to use. The first one, which is the oldest one in my collection, and it is actually this, I think it's probably the second bottle I bought in this, and it's the oldest foundation I have. Now it hasn't changed color or the formulation or anything because I recently been using it so I can like finish it up, but it's definitely a couple of years old and I'm still using it. I know, don't kill me. It is the all-nighter from Urban Decay. I didn't want to buy this anymore because I've tried so many other foundations that I like so much, but this was one of my favorites, like favorites back in the day, because it was kind of like one of the first full coverage foundations that I discovered, like for my use, that I started using, that I actually liked, that I was like, oh my gosh, that's a full coverage foundation, like that is so good on my skin. And the shade I have is 3.5, but it's super light. Like I've had this for a while. I would say 2 shades up in this foundation now. 3.5 is way too light now, but I'm going to mix it with another of my old favorites, which is the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made. I mean, I don't have a lot of other old foundations that I started using way back in the day, because then that would be a little crazy, you know, to still have those and put them on my skin. These are the oldest ones I can remember. I'm not sure on this one. I think this was kind of fairly new, but it's the oldest in all of the ones I have. Yeah, so I want to mix this one with this one so that it won't be too white and I can still get use out of both of them. This one, I don't feel like I used it as much as I would have liked to. You can see it's like really full. I feel like it's still new, but it was in my drawer of like the makeup that is old that I'm not using anymore, that sometimes I dig through and I'm like, okay, I need to use this stuff to finish it up. That's where these things are at now. This one. Now for concealer, the concealer I wanted to use but I currently don't have it anymore is the LA Girl Pro Conceal, which this was the first concealer I was introduced to. Obviously the concealer shade. This is a correcting shade. It's the green one. It corrects redness and all of that on the skin. I have this one because you guys know I have a lot of redness in this area and I sometimes like to use it from time to time. I also had the concealer, but I got rid of it because I've had it for a long time, so I don't have that one to use. The next one that I feel is the oldest one that I have is the ColourPop concealer, and this was my favorite for such a long time. I haven't used it in a long time as well, and I have mine in the shade Light 14. This is a no filter pro concealer. So now to set my makeup, one of the oldest powders that I used to use was the MAC Studio Fix. Is this Studio Fix powder? Yeah, like the little compact one. That's the only powder I knew when I first started in makeup. That was actually like my foundation. I would use that as a foundation, that powder. I currently don't own it because I stopped using it a long time ago, ever since the setting powder craze started, the loose setting powder. And the first loose setting powder that I purchased was the Laura Mercier, and it was actually one of my biggest loves back then when it first came out, and when I first started getting into it. This is my oldest one, no lie. Look at how broken it is. Like, I opened it because it was in that drawer that I told you guys that I have a drawer where I put stuff that I don't use anymore, that's too old, that might need to go in my like empties and all that. And I opened it and it literally fell apart. That's how old this powder is. But that's what we're going to be using, the translucent setting powder from Laura Mercier, which is very highly raved about. I used to love it. As you can see, I finished it up. I have like very little left, but I used to love it a lot. It just stopped, I would say, working that well on my under eyes. I feel like it started getting too dry, but I don't know, maybe that things can change today as I try it again. Okay, for blush and bronzer, I have some things that are very old that were my favorites for the longest time. Especially because back when I bought these products, they were new and this was like a very like expensive brand for me. And you know, MAC was also very, like at that time, MAC was the big brand, the big deal. And it was somewhat pricey, especially, you know, being younger and not working. It's kind of like a little harder. One of the main things, and this is a blush that I still have from back then, is the MAC is a MAC blush in the shade Warm Soul, and this is a mineralized blush. I talked about this blush for the longest time here on the channel. If you go back way back to my oldest videos, this is one of my go-to blushes. It is so old that it no longer sticks on the pan. It still has product, but the little pen just sticks out. This was my go-to blush for a couple of years, honestly. Another thing that I purchased back in the day that was like, ooh, like back then it was a big deal, was these NARS palettes. They used to bring, I feel like they still do, but you know, their packaging has changed. This used to be the NARS palettes back then, and they had like the all-in-one type of deal. It was a, clearly you guys can see this bronzer is my favorite, which is what we're going to be using. Orgasm blush as well was one of my favorite blushes back then, and I don't use it anymore, but I feel like I know I have it, so it's still close to my heart. That's the reason I keep these palettes. This palette is so gross. It's sticky. I don't know why. I feel like the coating it had is kind of like going away because it's been so many years. But this was one of my favorite palettes, like ride or die palettes. Okay guys, now for the eyes, I'm so excited to show you guys this palette. So who remembers the 88 shadow palettes, the 120 eyeshadow palettes? I started my makeup love with these palettes, and it's crazy to see this palette because it brings so many memories. I had one of these. I had a couple of these, I would say, like the colorful ones, the very like rainbow bright colorful palettes. And I had one of these. I had the 120 palettes. Those are all the palettes that I started buying off of eBay. Back when eBay for me was super popular, I would buy a lot of my makeup there because it was more affordable. And you know, back then I don't remember like knowing the big brands yet because it wasn't that available. The big brand back then was MAC. Now for I want to show you guys. Now I want to show you guys this other palette because this is the first palette, the first high-end palette that I feel like I bought after these 120 and 88 eyeshadow palettes. This is what got me into Sephora and the Sephora makeup world, and you know, starting to know other big brands, other super popular brands back then and that are super popular still now. Too Faced Natural Eye Palette. Get into this. Look at this old ass packaging. This has so much sentimental value to me, which is why I still have it. And I don't feel like I'm going to get rid of it. Even if it expires, it probably is expired. It's like 20 million years old. But I wanted to show it to you guys. Look at this. Like, I mean, you can clearly see this was my most used little row. They had a little baby brush down here. Focus. It had a little baby brush down here, and this palette just brings back so many memories, like when I started to get into Too Faced and to get into these kinds of makeup, these makeups from Sephora. I really wanted to show you guys this, just, you know, a little throwback, as well as this palette. This is my mom's. I had mine for the longest and I threw them out because they literally went bad. She still has this one. This one's fairly new. I can't remember when she got it. Not like super new, but I told her I needed to use this to do this look because this brought so many memories. It just fit well with this video using this palette. I have one of the oldest ones that I have. What is it? Ooh, it's this one right here. I don't even know if people still talk about this brand. The Jessie's Girl Eyeliner. I knew this brand as a nail polish brand, and then, like, you know, they started carrying some makeup. This is another of the oldest eyeliners I have, so this is what we're going to use next because my Physicians Formula one is all out. And this is what got me into, like, my love for these style of, you know, like pen-like eyeliners. Now we're going to go to back in the day when highlighters started becoming popular because this is how my makeup looked before highlighter was popular and popping and all that. But the first highlighter that I remember buying, and the most popular one, I feel like the first brand that I was introduced to highlighter was Becca Cosmetics, and the first highlighter, like super bougie highlighter that I bought, was the Becca Opal highlighter, and this is probably one of my oldest favorites. I still have it. It's the same one from back in the day because, I mean, who really uses up a full pan of highlighter? This is one of the most popular highlighters, I feel like, from back in the day, and it's very pretty. I personally really liked it, and that's what I'm using today. Okay, guys, for lips, the things that I used to wear the most and that I still have some, which are like my archive makeup from MAC, are their lipsticks. I used to wear their bullet lipsticks. The first lipstick that I bought from them was Myth, and I remember I was 15 years old buying my first MAC lipstick. You know, little old me was so shook buying her first like super crusty white colored, like cream colored lipstick. Back then, you know, I still didn't know much. I was just excited to buy makeup from MAC. And the next thing that I really bought from them that I fell in love, that made my love for MAC like start growing, was their Dazzle Glass lip glosses. And this is a Dazzle Glass lip gloss in the color Bare Necessity. This is a very thick lip gloss, and I know a lot of people didn't like the formula. I personally loved it because it looks so sparkly and glittery on the lips. This is my third tube of this, and my last tube that I bought in the shade Bare Necessity. This, I can say, was my holy grail lip gloss. and I'm just gonna pop it on like that today because back then I didn't know anything about putting a lip liner to make your lips look bigger. That wasn't a trend back then. It was just straight lip gloss on the lips, which is... I'm so happy I did this. Let me know if you guys would like me to do another version of these. Actually going to my very old videos, like 9 years ago when I first started on YouTube, and check out my favorites and get products from those videos to do another one of these videos. Going back to makeup that you used to use, it reminds you how much you loved it, why you loved it when you use it again. Like this highlight, why haven't I used it in such a long time? Look at how beautiful and popping it is. I am so obsessed, so obsessed with this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and you liked the finished makeup look. Let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and like always, I will see you all in my next video. Bye.